So let's talk about, you said you were kind of an associate and, for everybody out there that's in the accounting field, you can relate to this as a staff accountant, I guess, or somebody at an entry level position where you're kind of learning, you've gone to school and you've learned the underlying meaning behind everything. But then you kind of move into a field where you're learning, the ins and outs of running a chiropractic business.
Yeah.
And then you how long did you stay in that kind of role as an associate?
About 4 years.
And I think that's pretty common. If you're a quick learner, I usually say, when I was in the accounting trade, probably take you 10 years to know everything, 5 years before you're, good enough to be on your own kind of thing, if you're smart. So that's probably like a good timeline for you to, take on I guess it's like drinking from a fire hose at first. There's just so much information to absorb. It probably takes that long to, I get it now. It goes from billing to finish to referral and all the steps in between there. Well, I guess, has it been, of course it is more rewarding being your own boss and kind of doing it, but talk to me about the differences between when you were an associate and then moving into like kind of owning your own business and owning, the entire upstream of everything that goes on.
It's a bit of a shock for sure. As an associate, you show up, you treat your patients, you do your charts, and you can go home and mix in there with marketing and a few other things. But running the business or trying to, partner in and run it with a partner, everything. Like, yes, you can set your own hours, but for the first few years of setting your own hours, you're working more than 40 hours a week. You are doing everything from, making sure that money is going where it should, that it's coming in from where it should, that, you're fighting with insurance companies to get that check and making sure all your paperwork's submitted properly. It's just a different ballgame.
So when you're thinking back to like your associate days where you just came in kind of 9 to 5, did some meet and greet maybe for marketing to owning the business, what was like, I guess, the biggest shock or the biggest thing that you didn't see coming that would, kind of sucks up a lot of your time that you're like, wow, I wish I would have known about that ahead of time or thought about it?
Yeah. Honestly, the marketing, getting to meet people. You can just about skip a rock between chiropractic offices in Beaverton and Portland.
Right.
So getting the name out there, getting people to realize that we are an established practice and we have a decade worth of experience between us. We're not just brand new to this thing, and letting people know that we exist, that we're accepting patients, and that we're just trying to help people.
Right. And so talk to me about that because, a lot of people out there are in similar situations. We both basically run a service business. And my view in service businesses have always been that, there's plenty of other providers out there. Just like you said, you could skip a rock in Beaverton and throw a rock and hit a chiropractic office. So the real differentiating factor to me is customer service. And in my industry, it's responsiveness, I think is most important, getting back to somebody. But I think, in chiropractic, just like in traditional medicine, I think you need to be comfortable with the person you're seeing for you to get the most out of that experience. You need to be able to tell them how you feel and then vice versa. Can you maybe talk to that a little bit about how those kind of things play into and why somebody would choose, say, Dr. Dan's chiropractic over somebody else's?
It's gaining the patient's confidence that you know what you're doing. It's specialized care for the patient, and everything you do is tailored for what is wrong with the individual. And that's where we come in. We're trying to, the exam is pretty intense. We get you in there, we want to check everything out that we can, and then we're trying to tailor the entire treatment plan to you, to that particular problem. If that's, you want to be a better athlete, you want to just get out of pain, you want to feel your feet again. I've got a couple patients that have some, issues with neuropathy. It's gaining their trust and letting them know that you know what you're doing and you can take care of them, you will take care of them, and you have their best interest in mind. Right. It's patient management instead of practice management. We're trying to take care of them, and then the business comes as we do that. We don't want to just be in, out, rack, see as many people as possible. We want to get people the tailored care that they need.
Yeah, and I think going back to diet and nutrition, often we live in a world where we think one size fits all. So if somebody's been, seen great results on the keto diet, they're like, well, everybody should be keto, and it's the church of keto.
Yeah.
Same thing like with chiropractic care, I imagine. It's not a one size fits all kind of thing. You have to, everybody's body is different, and ailments and whatever underlying conditions they have is individual to each person. And so how do you go about kind of sussing out what somebody needs? What are the steps that you go through as a chiropractor to evaluate the needs of a patient versus from patient to patient? Do you have like
it's the exam. It all boils down to the exam. The detailed questions, we find out really exactly what's going on with you, and then that will dictate how we treat you. There's 1,000 different styles of chiropractic, from manual to activator and everything in between, and movement-based therapies. And the goal is to figure out what's going to work best with the individual patient. I've had quite a few patients come in from other docs saying, that just wasn't for me. I didn't, either feel like I was getting the benefit from it or I wasn't listened to. And I can't speak for other docs or, what their experience was, but we're trying to make sure that the patient is comfortable and confident in what we're doing.
Right. And understanding the process, I imagine, too, and being able to explain that to them.
The first visit's the exam. The second visit, we kind of re-go over what we talked about, because we want to educate the patient. If you don't know why we're doing what we're doing, it doesn't do anybody any good, because if you say, my chiropractor helped me out with X, Y, and Z, and you have no idea how or why we affected you, then it's, great, we helped one person, but they're not, they don't know why. And if you know why, it makes it easier in the long run to take care of yourself as well.
Sure. Yeah. If you know what led up to that, painful experience of having to go see a chiropractor, and to your point, having some kind of aftercare plan to make sure that you're strengthening whatever was, weak to begin with in the first place. I think that's something that we do in our business quite a bit as well. We take a look at somebody, we call it pain points, I guess, like what's the biggest pain point in your accounting? But, to your point, basically, literally, where is your pain point that we can work on, and is pain a good indicator of where the injury is at?
Not all the time, no. Every nerve in your body starts, like I said, brainstem, or in your brain, central nervous system goes out. If you impact that nerve at any point along the way, it can manifest as pain downstream. Like if you have a herniated disc in your neck, you can lose feeling in your hand, or you can have shooting pains to your hand. It doesn't mean your hand's broken. It means we've got some work to do on the spinal cord and the column, and making sure things are lined up and we take pressure off of that nerve. So it's not a good indicator necessarily of where the problem is all the time, and it's not the best outcome marker. We try and use range of motion or functional things at home, like can you lift a coffee cup that you've been dropping for the past 5 years, or what's going on with you? What is your goal by the end of treatment? And out of pain is always an easy answer, but that's not the end goal for me. I want you self-sufficient, taking care of yourself by the end of this. So if I see you again, it's for a tune-up or maintenance, or you just tweak something and it's easy to take care of. I don't want to have reoccurring problems where if I say I told you so and you say, what did you tell me? I haven't done my job. I need you to know what's going on with you. And that helps in the long run of just managing your own care as well at home, or being able to do some PT or stretches or exercises, or making sure you're strong throughout your lifetime.